The Christmas donation that returned when they least expected it. Snow gently blanketed Pinewood, a picturesque town nestled in the heart of the mountains. Every window glowed with twinkling lights, and the sound of Christmas bells filled the streets. Yet, in the heart of Emily Carter, a restlessness lingered that not even the magic of Christmas could calm. Emily, a young teacher, was known for her warm smile and dedication to the children at the local school. Still, the loneliness of cold nights had accompanied her since losing her parents nearly a decade ago. She lived in a small house at the end of the main street, where an old heater barely managed to fend off the chill. That morning, while holding her hot coffee and watching the snow fall outside the bakery window, a handwritten note on the bulletin board caught her eye. The uneven letters read, "Family in need this Christmas. Any donation is appreciated. Thank you." Emily read the words again. There was something in the simplicity of the request that touched her deeply. Without much thought, she grabbed an envelope containing part of her paycheck, which she had set aside to fix her heater, and decided to act. Within hours, Emily was at a local store filling a cart with groceries, toys, and warm clothing. That evening, with a basket decorated and packed with gifts, she drove to the address on the note. The house was small and weathered, with foggy windows and a snow-covered yard. Emily left the basket on the porch, rang the doorbell, and stepped back into the shadows before anyone could see her. As she walked back to her car, a sense of peace filled her heart. But what she didn't expect was what would happen next. When Emily returned home, she found a package on her porch. Inside was a hand-knitted red scarf and a golden coin embossed with an angel. Along with the coin was a note. "The good you've done will return to you." Emily was intrigued. Who knew about her donation? The note seemed more than a coincidence. The next day, rumors began to spread around Pinewood about unexpected acts of kindness. A stranger had paid the electric bill for an elderly widow. A pile of groceries had been left at the door of another struggling family. Each recipient had found a small note with the same angel emblem. Emily wondered if there was a connection between these gestures and the note she had received. The small golden coin seemed to be at the center of something far larger than she could have imagined. That night, as she held the coin in her hands, Emily felt that this was just the beginning of an unexpected journey. But who was behind Pinewood's mysterious angel? The following morning, Emily awoke with a sense of urgency. The golden coin, now sitting on her bedside table, seemed to shine unusually bright in the sunlight streaming through her window. As she held the object, one thought persisted. Who was orchestrating these acts of kindness in Pinewood? And why had she been chosen to receive the coin and the note? Determined to uncover the truth, Emily left her house and walked to the local cafe. Pinewood was a small town where news traveled fast, and she knew gossip might help her connect the dots. Sitting at her usual spot by the window, she listened closely as conversations filled the air. "Did you hear about Mrs. Connors? Someone paid off her overdue bills," an elderly woman said to her companion. "And Mechanic Joe? He found new tools at his shop after that robbery," her friend replied. What was happening in Pinewood? And who, or what, was the mysterious force behind these miracles? The accounts were consistent. An anonymous benefactor was transforming lives in the town. Emily felt a chill run down her spine. Something bigger was happening and she was at the center of it. As she sipped her coffee, the cafe door swung open with the sound of a bell, and Lydia, a woman Emily knew in passing, hurried in with her two children Max and Lily. Lydia was a single mother struggling to make ends meet, and Emily was aware that the family had been going through tough times. Seeing them, her heart tightened. They looked exhausted, dressed in clearly reused clothes, their eyes shadowed with worry. "Emily?" Lydia exclaimed, surprised to see her. "Can I speak with you for a moment?" Emily gestured for them to sit down. Lydia seemed hesitant but soon began to speak. "I wanted to thank you for everything. I know it was you who left the basket on our doorstep. Max and Lily can't stop talking about the toys." Emily felt her cheeks flush. She hadn't expected to be discovered, but before she could respond, Lydia continued. I don't know how to repay you. We're on the verge of losing our house. The mortgage is overdue, and the bank has given us an ultimatum. That basket gave us a brief reprieve, but I'm afraid it's not enough." Emily felt the weight of Lydia's words. She looked at Max and Lily playing with napkins at the table, oblivious to the gravity of the situation. Emily knew she needed to do more. In the days that followed, she began organizing a campaign in town to help Lydia's family. It was a challenging task. She printed flyers, spoke with local shop owners, and even convinced the school principal to host a fundraising event. Yet not everyone was supportive. Some townsfolk questioned Emily's motives. Why is she so focused on them? Some murmured. There are other families in need too. The criticism stung, but she remained steadfast. She knew she was doing the right thing. Meanwhile, the anonymous acts of kindness continued, each accompanied by a note bearing the angel symbol. Emily began to suspect it wasn't a coincidence. She examined the coin more closely and noticed an almost imperceptible inscription on the edge, "Cycle of Goodness." Determined to uncover its meaning, Emily sought help at Pinewood's antique shop. The owner, Mr. Mitchell, was known for his extensive knowledge of rare items. When he saw the coin, his eyes widened. "Emily, where did you get this?" he asked, his tone serious. "It appeared on my porch with a note," Emily replied. "Do you know what it means?" Mr. Mitchell retrieved an old book and flipped through the pages until he stopped at an illustration of the coin. "This coin is part of a very rare collection. Legend says it was created by a secret society called the Circle of the Angel. Their purpose was simple: to encourage acts of kindness that would create a ripple effect." Emily was captivated. "So, the coin is a symbol?" "More than that," the antiquarian explained. "It's said to hold a kind of energy attracting people with altruistic hearts. But there's one rule: whoever receives the coin must continue the cycle. Otherwise, the fortune it brings vanishes." Emily left the antique shop with her mind racing. What did it all mean for her? Could the acts of kindness in Pinewood be connected to the coin? On her way home, Emily found an anonymous letter in her mailbox. It was handwritten and read, "The cycle is in your hands. Use it wisely or it will be broken." The words echoed in Emily's mind for days. She felt the weight of the responsibility growing, but she also knew she wasn't alone. The community began rallying around the campaign to help Lydia, and gradually donations started to pour in. However, media attention started to build. A report about the mysterious acts of kindness in Pinewood drew the interest of journalists, who flocked to the town searching for stories. Emily tried to avoid the spotlight, but the situation quickly spiraled out of control. Lydia, who had initially been grateful, began to feel uncomfortable with all the exposure. "Emily, I didn't want this," Lydia said, tears in her eyes. "I just wanted a quiet Christmas for my kids." Emily felt guilty, but before she could respond, something unexpected happened. An anonymous donation appeared in Lydia's bank account, enough to pay off the mortgage and leave extra for a fresh start. The townsfolk were stunned. Who could have made such a generous donation? And why remain anonymous? The answer seemed to be tied to the coin. That night, as Emily reflected on everything that had happened, she received another letter. This time, the envelope was sealed with the angel symbol. Inside there was only one sentence: "You're closer to the truth than you think." The following days were a whirlwind of emotions for Emily. The campaign had been a resounding success, and Lydia's family could finally breathe easy. Yet the feeling that something bigger was happening never left Emily. The letters, the coin, and the anonymous acts of kindness seemed like pieces of a puzzle she hadn't yet solved. One morning, while walking to school, she was approached by an elderly man who lived at the end of the street. It was Mr. Harper, a reclusive figure in town who rarely interacted with neighbors. His presence was surprising. He was bundled up warmly, holding a wooden cane, and his eyes gleamed with a mix of urgency and kindness. "Miss Carter," he began in a gravelly voice, "may we talk?" Emily nodded, intrigued. They walked to a bench in the snow-covered park, where Harper pulled a small package from his pocket. He placed it in Emily's hands and said, "You've done so much for this town. It's time you learned the truth." Inside the package, Emily found another coin identical to hers. Harper explained that he had also received the coin many years ago in a similarly mysterious way. "I was young like you," he said, his voice heavy with nostalgia. "I was lost, without direction. This coin gave me a purpose. But it's not just a symbol, it's a calling." Harper revealed that over the years, he had used his inheritance to fund acts of kindness across Pinewood, always maintaining his anonymity. He believed the coin was a kind of test, a tool to inspire generosity during moments of greatest need. "But why me?" Emily asked. Harper smiled faintly. "Because you have the right heart, Emily. The coin finds those who can bear its weight. But be careful, the cycle must continue. The coin demands action. If you fail to play your part, everything could fall apart." Harper's words echoed in Emily's mind. She now understood that the coin was more than just a valuable object. It was a reminder that small actions could trigger extraordinary change. However, this revelation came with new challenges. Complications intensify. Despite the progress with Lydia, not everyone in Pinewood was happy about the recent events. The media's presence had brought a frenzy to the town, and many residents began criticizing Emily for attracting too much attention to herself. "Why does everything have to be about her?" some muttered. "There are other people who need help too." Emily tried to ignore the criticism, but it began to weigh on her. She knew her focus was on the community's well-being, but it was hard not to feel attacked. To make matters worse, some of the more recent donations had mysteriously disappeared before reaching their intended recipients. One incident in particular deeply shook Emily. During a meeting to distribute the funds raised, a man named Greg, an old schoolmate, confronted her publicly. "You think you're better than all of us, don't you?" he said, his voice dripping with bitterness. "Pretending to be a hero while deciding who's worthy of your help." Emily was left speechless as murmurs rippled through the room. She felt the weight of the judgment, but before she could respond, Harper appeared at the entrance. His presence brought immediate silence. "You're all forgetting what really matters," Harper said firmly. "It's not about who helps or who receives, but about what we can accomplish together. This town has been through so much. It's time for us to unite." Harper's words shifted the tone of the meeting, but Emily knew the damage had already been done. The conflict had revealed fractures in the community that she wasn't sure how to mend. Amid the chaos, Emily received another letter. This time the message was more direct. "The coin chose you, but now you must choose. Are you willing to sacrifice something important to continue the cycle?" The question unsettled her. What could she sacrifice? Her peace of mind was already compromised, and her reputation was on the line. But the deeper meaning of the message soon became clear. That night, Emily received a call from Lydia. Something was wrong. Lydia explained that despite the donations, the bank was still threatening to take the house. Emily was outraged. Determined to resolve the situation, she went to Harper's house for help. Harper revealed that there was a solution, but it would require courage. He had a significant reserve of funds, but it was being contested by a distant relative who wanted the inheritance for themselves. "If I use this money now, I'll lose everything," he said. "But I can do it if you're willing to take over the Circle of the Angel." Emily was shocked. "Take over? What does that mean?" Harper explained that the Circle of the Angel was more than a concept. It was a secret network of people committed to spreading kindness throughout the world. Taking on leadership meant dedicating her life to this mission, leaving behind any personal ambitions. "It's a tough choice," Harper said. "But I believe you're the right person for this." Emily knew this was the most important decision of her life. She could decline and continue her routine as a teacher, or she could accept and dive into an unknown world filled with the potential to change lives. The next day, Emily organized one final meeting in the town square. She explained her decision to the community. "I've decided to accept the challenge. I will lead the Circle of the Angel and ensure that Pinewood continues to be a beacon of generosity." The reaction was mixed. Some applauded while others remained skeptical. But Emily didn't let the doubts shake her. With Harper by her side, she began working to establish a formal structure for the Circle, including emergency funds and assistance programs for struggling families. During the event, Lydia approached Emily and hugged her tightly. "You saved my family," Lydia said, tears streaming down her face. "I don't know how to thank you." Emily smiled, holding the golden coin in her hand. "Just pass it on," she replied. That night, as she closed her front door, Emily found a new coin on her table, alongside a note. "This is just the beginning. The next chapter depends on you." The days that followed were the most intense of Emily's life. After accepting leadership of the Angel Circle, she dove into an exhausting routine, trying to balance her work as a teacher with her new responsibility. The golden coin felt heavier in her pocket, as though it carried the weight of greater expectations. The Pinewood community was also undergoing a transition. Many still distrusted the initiative, but over time they began to see the positive impact. Small businesses received financial support, families in need found help, and a new spirit of unity began to emerge among the townspeople. However, the pressure mounted. Emily knew that for the Circle to thrive, it needed more than goodwill. It required a solid strategy and, above all, allies. Harper, always by her side, began introducing her to other Circle members in neighboring towns. "You're not alone," he said as he led her to a secret meeting in a secluded house. There, Emily met people from across the country, all connected by the mission to spread kindness. Among them was Evelyn, an elegant woman with piercing eyes who seemed to be one of the group's most influential leaders. Evelyn praised Emily's decision to take charge in Pinewood but didn't hold back her criticisms. "Being kind isn't enough," Evelyn said. "You need to be strategic. The world is cruel, and kindness only survives if it's protected." Evelyn's words deeply resonated with Emily. She began to realize that ensuring the circle's success would require making tough decisions. Emily's greatest challenge. On Christmas Eve, Emily organized a community event to officially launch the Angel Circle in Pinewood. The town square was illuminated with thousands of lights, and an immense Christmas tree stood at its center. Residents of all ages gathered to celebrate, but the event was soon interrupted by devastating news. Greg, the former schoolmate who had criticized her during the meeting, had stolen part of the funds raised for the circle. He fled during the night, leaving behind a letter in which he confessed his actions and justified them. "I did this because I don't believe in this fairy tale," the letter read. "Nobody helps without wanting something in return. You're all being manipulated." The news hit the community like a bombshell. Many began to question the circle's credibility, and by extension Emily's. Journalists returned to Pinewood, eager to dig up scandals for their headlines. Emily felt betrayed but had no time for despair. She knew she had to act quickly to regain the town's trust. Together with Harper and Evelyn, she began tracking Greg's whereabouts. "He couldn't have gone far," Harper said. "But we need to tread carefully. This could destroy everything we've built." After hours of searching, they found Greg hiding in an abandoned cabin in the woods. When confronted, he appeared remorseful but also bitter. "I've never had anything," he said, his voice trembling. "When I saw all that money, I thought I could finally have a chance." Emily felt a mix of anger and compassion. She knew what Greg had done was wrong, but she also recognized the pain behind his actions. "You can still make this right," she said. "Return the money and help rebuild what was lost. Pinewood needs you, Greg. We all make mistakes." With tears in his eyes, Greg handed over the money. Emily decided not to involve the police, on the condition that he actively help with the circle's work moving forward. The decision was risky, but for Emily, it was the only way to preserve the spirit of kindness. Pinewood's transformation. The incident with Greg became a turning point for Pinewood. The once divided community began to come together in a more genuine way. People who had been skeptical of the circle now volunteered their time and resources to support the initiative. Emily realized that the true power of the coin wasn't in its material value but in its ability to inspire. It served as a reminder that small acts could create waves of transformation, even in the face of adversity. On Christmas night, as snow gently fell over the town square, Emily gave a speech to the gathered residents. "This coin came to me as a gift, but the true gift was what it taught me, that each of us has the power to make a difference. The Circle of the Angel isn't about one person or one coin. It's about all of us. Together." The applause was thunderous. For the first time, Emily felt that her mission was just beginning. The legacy of the Circle of the Angel. Months later, Pinewood became a model of generosity for other towns. The circle expanded its reach, supporting initiatives in underserved communities and inspiring new leaders. Harper, now more at peace, decided to step back and spend more time with his family, fully trusting Emily to carry on the legacy. Greg became one of the circle's most devoted members, working tirelessly to make amends and prove that everyone deserves a second chance. As for the coin, Emily made an important decision. She secretly passed it on to someone she believed had the heart and courage to continue the cycle. The identity of the next bearer remained unknown, but Emily trusted that the coin would find its rightful path. The following spring, as Emily strolled through Pinewood's now vibrant square, she saw Lydia, Max, and Lily playing joyfully. She smiled, feeling that, despite the challenges, everything had been worth it. The cycle of kindness continued. And what if the next coin is waiting for you? Perhaps it's time to start your own cycle of kindness. Transform your Christmas into an unforgettable experience. How about celebrating the most magical Christmas ever, creating moments that your family will cherish forever? We have exactly what you need to make your holiday extraordinary. Perfect Christmas Dinner Ebook. Discover amazing and practical recipes, along with tips for setting up an elegant table. Impress your family with a dinner full of flavor and style. 400 Christmas Cookie Recipes Ebook. Bring sweetness and fun to your holiday. Bake delightful cookies that will make your table beautiful and your loved ones happy. Christmas Soundtrack Collection. Add the perfect finishing touch with 21 exclusive tracks to set the mood for a magical and emotional celebration. Click the link pinned in the comments and get these incredible tools to make your Christmas truly special. And if you want more emotional stories and holiday tips, like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon to stay updated on our upcoming videos.